So it has been officially confirmed we are getting a new commentary team for Monday Night Raw starting tonight on the special Raw post-WrestleMania edition of the Red Brand Show. The Raw After Mania, they like to call it, don't they? So we're getting a new commentary team that is headed up by Adnan Virk because WWE have officially confirmed these reports were coming out over the weekend. I think it was Raj Giri over there at Wrestling Inc. first reported that we were going to have a new Raw commentary team after WrestleMania that was going to be headed up by Adnan Virk. He was going to be replacing Tom Phillips, and also we were going to have Corey Graves returning to Monday Night Raw, replacing Samoa Joe. So WWE have since officially confirmed this. WWE today announced that Adnan Virk will make his debut as the new play-by-play voice of Monday Night Raw tonight on the USA Network. The news was, this is funny. This is so funny with this at the moment, isn't it? It says the news was first reported from The Athletic with details on Virk's path to WWE, which again is funny because it wasn't. There's been kind of this conflict going on around WrestleMania weekend and in the build-up to WrestleMania, especially with like the Hall of Fame stuff, all that kind of stuff. That's been building up recently because I think a couple of times, like Fightful, Sean Ross Sapp and his crew over there at Fightful Select, they were the first people to report people going into the Hall of Fame, whether it was Rob Van Dam or Titus O'Neil, all that kind of stuff, and stuff wasn't reported for a couple of days, and then WWE would make the announcement and they would say, as first reported by, I don't know, Sports Illustrated or something like that, and everyone's like, well, it's not. It's not. I mean, that's fine. To say as first reported is fine if they did first report it because WWE gives them that information. WWE goes to Sports Illustrated. WWE goes to Fox Sports. They say, we're inducting Rob Van Dam into the Hall of Fame. Publish the story, then we can give you a plug. It makes us look legitimate. It makes all this kind of stuff. It makes us feel like a legitimate sport, all that kind of stuff. That's what WWE tries to do with this kind of stuff. But when they say it's first reported, but it wasn't. It wasn't first reported. It was out there. It was out there by Wrestling Inc. and Raj Giri. I've got to give them credit. So anyway, it's officially been confirmed. That's what they should do. They should just change the line. Just say it's been officially confirmed by so-and-so at The Athletic. Don't say first reported because it's such a BS line because it wasn't first reported by them. It just wasn't. Now, Adnan Virk has released a statement about this during the article. He said, quote, I'm elated to be joining the premier sports entertainment company in my new role with WWE. As a kid, I grew up idolizing WWE Hall of Famers like Bret Hart, Ric Flair. The opportunity to call modern legends like Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, Randy Orton, Charlotte Flair, and so many others alongside Corey Graves and Byron Saxton is truly humbling. In addition to becoming the voice of Monday Night Raw, Adnan Virk will continue his on-air host role across the MLB Network's programming this season. He hosts a load of stuff when it comes to baseball. Previously, he had worked with ESPN, where he primarily covered college football and baseball. He was also a studio host for ESPN's college football coverage and play-by-play announcer and studio host for the network's coverage of Major League Baseball. Now, of course, you would say, well, why did he leave ESPN? Wow, this is obviously WWE, something they're not going to mention in their article. But Adnan Virk was let go by ESPN a few years ago. I think it was 2019. I might have my dates wrong. I'm not a baseball guy. I don't profess to be, and I'm not, huge on the American sports. I like a bit of American football. That's about it. So he was let go by ESPN. The reason he was fired, the reason he was fired by ESPN is because he was caught leaking ESPN information to journalists. He was caught, and he did an interview recently where he said that he felt like ESPN was trying to make an example out of him, trying to show to other people that you shouldn't do that. He thought he was just going to get a slap on the wrist. I don't know. I don't know when it comes to that. I just think, look, that, and don't get me wrong, people inside the industry, people inside any sports, there's leaks in everything, whether it's WWE, whether it's baseball, whether it's football, whether it's the Premier League over here in the United Kingdom, there's always leaks, and if it's just a case of if you get caught, you're going to get punished. My concern would be, and I don't know the guy, I don't know his work, I don't know him as a person, so, forgive me for being slightly judgmental here, maybe I shouldn't be, but you would wonder, there are going to be eyeballs on this guy because WWE leaks like a ship. They really do. They've got better over the course of the last few years, but this is a company with so many leaks, so many times big surprises. The measures they have to go to prevent these leaks from happening, from coming out, whether it's sneaking a superstar into the building late, whether it's flying to a different airport and then driving in and doing all of these surprises because it's so hard to keep things secret, not necessarily because of social media. I think Social media is part of that, but social media gets a bit of a bad rap for that. Part of the biggest problem when it comes to leaks and information getting out, it's the people that work for WWE. There are so many people under contract at WWE or WWE employees, whether it's not just the boys, it's not the boys or the girls in the back, it's not the talent. Sometimes it's the producers, sometimes it's the writers, sometimes it's employees that work in marketing and head office, all that kind of stuff. They're really the ones that leak that information out. Nevertheless, if information does start to get out, people are obviously naturally going to look at the guy that got fired for leaking information. It will happen. It will happen. Now, this wouldn't be the first time. I can't remember who it was. There definitely was someone, a commentator, that was fired for a similar reason. And I don't know if it was in WWE or WCW. I can't recall. It might have been like Jim Ross. It might have been Jim Ross. There was definitely someone, a commentator famously, that was caught leaking information to whether it was Dave Meltzer or whoever in the dirt sheets, and they got fired. Now, again, I'm assuming you would hope that he made this mistake once and he won't make it again. So I'm not going to pass judgment from that. Again, when it comes to his commentary style, look, I don't know. I don't watch baseball. I've never heard any of his work. So I don't know if he's going to be good or he's not going to be good. What I will say is that we've seen many people come in and try to do this role from outside of WWE that are sports commentators, even if they're fans, and it's not work. Whether it's Mike Adamle, whether it's whoever, people have come in and they've tried, and that adjustment is difficult. And it's not just the adjustment of learning the moves and learning the names and learning the cadence. It's doing the commentary in the way that WWE, most importantly, Vince McMahon wants you to do it. That's the biggest problem. That's the biggest problem. I mean, we've heard the horror stories, right? Whether it's Taz or Mick Foley or anyone, or Joey Styles, whoever, Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, they all have these stories about Vince McMahon screaming in someone's ear as he's producing, telling them they're an idiot, telling them they don't know what they're doing, and that's hard. That's difficult. When they're being produced like that, it's very, very difficult. This is a high-profile job. It's a tough job, and people have tried it, and people have failed. So it's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult. And I don't know if Virk has any pro wrestling commentary experience. Again, I think that's important. I think that's very important. You know, Mauro Ranallo is almost the exception to the rule, that he came in from outside of WWE and just seamlessly fit in, but that's because he had done pro wrestling commentary before. He was a combat sports commentator, and obviously he's just a giant pro wrestling fan, and in my opinion, he's the best play-by-play commentator in the world right now. He just is. He's just that good. So I don't know. I don't know if Adnan Virk will be good. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know if you can pass judgment on him tonight. Give it a couple of weeks, give it a couple of months, see how he settles. Again, it's almost not important about his performance. What's important is that he can deal with Vince McMahon. I think that's probably the hardest element of all of this, is can you deal with being produced by Vince McMahon? Because a lot of people haven't been able to over the course of over the years. And that's been tough. And sometimes people just can't handle that. So that is certainly going to be interesting from his point of view. But of course, he's not the only change when it comes to the Raw commentary team. Virk will be joined ringside for every Monday Night Raw by analyst Corey Graves, who of course began his commentating career in 2014 and has distinguished himself with a unique style and opinionated insights. And analyst Byron Saxton, a veteran of more than a decade of experience behind the microphone. Now, when it comes to Tom Phillips, there was some rumors that Tom Phillips was going to be leaving WWE or anything like that. That's not going to happen. He's moving to 205 Live. Tom Phillips will become the new host of 205 Live. And this is what WWE have said, quote, oversees special projects for WWE's programming on Peacock and at the WWE Performance Center in Orlando. Phillips also remains in his role of senior manager on air talent. So I think this was something when it comes to Tom Phillips. This restructuring actually happened when we had the big premieres back in 2019, when SmackDown moved to Fox and Raw got rebranded. You had the new logos and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, who came in at the time was actually Vic Joseph and Dio Madden, and Jerry Lawler was on commentary, and WWE obviously wasn't happy with that for whatever reason. They didn't like Dio Madden. Well, Dio Madden, he decided to leave on his own free will. He wanted to go to the Performance Center. He wanted to work, so he moved. Vic Joseph, rather. I think he did a good job. I'm not going to criticize someone because I think it's a really hard job. To commentate on anything is a real special talent, and it's not easy. It really is not easy, especially under the pressure of millions of people watching, especially having Vince McMahon and a ton of other people in your ear producing you. That's tough. That's really, really tough. I don't know if Vic Joseph was really ready for that spot on Raw, and I don't know. First, I don't think he was given enough time to even prove himself, but that's par for the course. And at the time, Tom Phillips moved to doing commentary on, I think it might have been 205 Live. He was doing NXT UK as well. And I think he probably got shuffled over into this role as senior manager of on-air talent in the corporate side of things, and I think that's what he wanted to do. And obviously, they decided that it wasn't working with Vic Joseph, and they moved Tom Phillips to Monday Night Raw just after the Royal Rumble last year. And maybe they've been looking the whole time, going, look, we're going to get someone else in. You're just, you're a temporary solution. We will get someone in. And now it's Adnan Virk, and we'll see how well he does. Obviously, a big omission from this is that Corey Graves is replacing Samoa Joe. Now, Samoa Joe's not going to be on the Raw commentary team, it appears. Now, in this statement, when WWE announced the official change to the Raw commentary team, they did mention a little line about Samoa Joe. They said, quote, Samoa Joe remains part of the WWE talent roster. Now, they haven't said that Joe's going to SmackDown. They haven't said that Joe's going back to an in-ring action, but it certainly is curious because it's led to a lot of people saying, well, does that mean Samoa Joe is nearing an in-ring return? And Lord knows I hope so. I mean, who doesn't want to see Samoa Joe return to the ring? The guy is one of the best wrestlers on the roster. He's one of the best athletes on the roster. The problem is with Samoa Joe, in addition to, of course, the injuries that he's had over the course of the last few years, the problem is with Samoa Joe is that he's just so good at everything that he does. I mean, that's part of the problem, isn't it? He's so good at everything that he does. Whether it's commentary, which, again, that initially when he first came into commentary the first time, that was just to plug a gap. Jerry Lawler was off commentary, or was it with Dio Madden had gone off commentary? I forget. The time moves so quickly. But he came on, and he had an injured thumb at the time, and he just did a couple of weeks, and then he went back to in-ring action, team with Kevin Owens, and then just had this horrific luck of injuries. I mean, really horrific luck of injuries in 2020. He had a concussion. Well, he suffered a stinger on Raw, didn't he? Did the dive out to the outside, suffered a stinger, had to go backstage. Then the following week, he's doing a commercial, the Must Be Monday commercial. He's taking a bump through a table, suffers a concussion. That's 2 quick concussions in a row. He's on the shelf for a while. And then at the time as well, I think he got suspended because of a wellness policy violation. So there was a lot going on with Samoa Joe at the time. So the decision was made, look, while you get your head straight, quite literally, when it comes to these concussions, while you get your head straight, we're going to take you off of commentary. We're going to take you off the road. We're going to take you out of the ring and you can go on commentary. And the problem is, as I mentioned, Joe's very good at it. He's very, very good at what he does. He's very good on commentary. He's very good on the mic because he does have the experience of being in the ring. That's how I prefer my color commentators. No disrespect to Corey Graves and Byron Saxton. I know they have been in the ring. I know they have experience on NXT, but when you're talking about someone like Samoa Joe, you're talking new levels, aren't you? You're talking someone that has been a main eventer. He has been a world champion. I know not in WWE, but he's been a multiple-time champion. He's got experience. He has credibility. Samoa Joe putting you over on commentary saying you're really good or your tactics are genius or calling your moves, as a fan watching at home, you then look at that and say, okay, that person's legit, because if Samoa Joe's putting them over, then they're legit. So that's why Joe's been so good on commentary. And I don't know the situation when it comes to Samoa Joe and his health and his concussions, all that kind of stuff. I don't know the situation with that, and I'm not going to pretend that I do know. But he is valuable, of course, being on commentary, but he's more valuable for me being in the ring. There's still some juice to get out of Samoa Joe. There absolutely is. And to be honest, Bobby Lashley retained the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. Who's to say that Samoa Joe can't be his next opponent? Lashley's looking for an opponent. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if the Drew McIntyre feud continues, but why not? Why not Samoa Joe and Bobby Lashley? Yep, sign me up. I'm all for it. I'm absolutely all for it. And I think that would be fantastic. I really do. Whether or not they do it, it remains to be seen. It remains to be seen. And to be honest, whether or not Samoa Joe returns to the ring remains to be seen. But if this is the beginning of an in-ring return, then I'm all for it. If it's just Samoa Joe being moved to SmackDown, I don't have a problem with that. SmackDown's the A show at the moment. It's the better show. It's the show with the most viewers because it's on Fox, because it's on network television. It's the show that brings in the most revenue for WWE as well. That's important to say too. So if that is the case, why not have the best color commentator in WWE right now, which is Samoa Joe, on SmackDown with Michael Cole? That might just be the situation. Now, I do think they would have probably mentioned that, surely. They would have mentioned that in the press release. They would have said, oh, Samoa Joe's moving to SmackDown. They would have framed it as a double commentary sort of change, and they haven't. Which makes you wonder, if Joe is nearing an in-ring return, who's going to be partnering with Michael Cole on SmackDown? Are we going to see the situation like before where Corey Graves is doing both shows? Because I didn't mind Corey Graves, but, anyone is going to be overexposed. If they're doing Raw and SmackDown, if they're doing 5 hours of television every single week, it's too much. It's too much. And at least let's treat the brand split with respect a little bit. I know WWE doesn't do that, and I know that it's a big point of contention for me. But it's certainly an interesting situation, and I'm excited to see what happens. It makes Raw very interesting tonight. Whether it's just for the commentary team or possibly a Samoa Joe return, that's fascinating. That's fascinating, and it makes me excited to watch Raw tonight. But of course, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on the new Raw commentary team announcement and possibly Samoa Joe nearing a WWE in-ring return soon? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community, drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.